Part 5. The rains of Aim were said to be relentless and unending. He had never believed this fact fully, thinking it was impossible for any place to forever be haunted by rain. But now, as he sat in the middle of one of Aim's wastelands being continuously soaked in rainfall, made him realize that the myth was true, and he had been wrong. It went to show there were so many things in this world he didn't know the truth about. He bit back the cold shiver his body threatened to let escape in such a frosty and harsh atmosphere. It had been 2 days since he left his friends and clan in Aim's capital. To be honest, Naruto didn't know what to truly feel about his decision. On one hand, he knew tactically his decision was right, since he could never let himself become Aim's soldier. He simply couldn't betray the oath he had made to Yuzu and was hell-bent on following it till his last breath. Even if that had not been a problem, he had other dreams to fulfill now that his clan was safe. And he couldn't accomplish them if he was a registered ninja of Aim, since any trouble he created would spell misfortune for this small nation and his own clan. And he couldn't let that happen. No matter what. Even so, a small part of him felt guilty for leaving his friends behind. He had never even waited to say a final goodbye. They were his home, the only family he had in this world. And as he sat alone in this wasteland, he couldn't blink back the tears that came in his eyes. He missed the friendly banter he had with Akino, the peaceful times with Nagato. He missed it all so much. The rain falling down on him made his tears invisible as he accepted the things he had lost in his life. Many due to the actions of others and a few due to his own decisions. He had already sent a message to Kisame asking the man for the latest update on the brewing war. And maybe in a day or two he would receive a reply from the Kiri ninja. Naruto desperately wished it came sooner, as that would give him purpose. A new mission which will help him fulfill his desire for a peaceful world. If maybe someday he achieved his dream, then not only his friends but millions of innocent people could live happy lives. So that the tragedy of Uzumaki clan could not be repeated ever again. His eyes hardened as he thought about all those forces that were wreaking havoc across the world. The 5 great villages, or more specifically the military governments and the Hokages. The corrupted daimyos, the out-of-control Black Ops forces like the ones he had seen in Konoha, crazy monsters like Orochimaru. The list was endless. He felt the anger build inside of him as he thought about the atrocities he had witnessed in the past few months. The few plants around him withered away as his chakra flared dangerously. He would make them pay, all of them. His eyes widened momentarily as he felt several foul presences far away. The strange thing was that these energy imprints were foul and corrupted. He could feel the anger, the bloodlust, the madness inside these group of humans. Stunned, he increased his sensory range and his eyes widened as he felt the presence of nearly 100 civilians. A small village, perhaps, said Naruto out loud. He knew what was going to happen, he could feel it. The war had already started, and now it had reached Aim. There was not just the ninja villages that were dangerous, but there were several other groups and organizations that were much worse. He took a step forward but came to halt quickly. This wasn't his job. The Aim ninja would know about this attack soon enough, and it was their job to protect their people. He was already near the borders, and just a day or 2 journeys would get him out of this country. But if he did what his heart was urging him to do, it would only cause more problems for him. Naruto cursed out loud at this situation. He had no loyalty towards Aim's citizens. He was not their soldier, not their protector. Yet he couldn't help but relive the night of his own clan's massacre. The helpless screams of his own people, their despair and panic as they were slaughtered. They didn't deserve that, and with a heavy heart he knew neither did Aim's civilians. They were also humans. Period. Let your darkness be your greatest strength rather than your worst enemy. He remembered his Uzukage's words to him during his training. Naruto hadn't understood the man back then, but now he knew what his leader wanted. And if there was one thing he did obediently was follow his Uzukage's wish. Katsuro-sama would not have walked away when innocent lives were in danger. And as his disciple, neither would Naruto. Terrified screams rang across the small village of Han. Named in the respect of their glorious leader, Hanzo, this village was just another one of the impoverished small villages of Aim where poverty, sickness and unemployment existed openly. All in all, it had not a single special thing about it that made it worthy enough for such a vicious attack. Now, Han's grounds were stained with the crimson blood of several of its residents. The screams of terrified women and children could be heard everywhere, along with the moans of the dying men who were the first to be targeted and were being slaughtered one by one. Another sound was also heard across the village. Laughter. Cruel, vicious laughs escaped from the lips of the attackers. Dressed in dark black robes, their faces covered by skull masks, they were the epitome of monsters for the helpless people of Han. A strange serpent-like figure made up of green energy was floating over the village, making the civilians cower in horror. Take that, you bitch. Oh, I'm gonna enjoy this. This is the ultimate fun. Naruto stared at these disgusting creatures from afar. The animals were slaughtering everyone and everything that came in their way, be it man, woman or child. The sight of several little children lying butchered on the wet ground made his blood boil. The sight hit close to his heart as it reminded him of the slaughter of his own people. Their screams. And that was when his entire chakra flared murderously. I'm gonna kill all of you, roared Naruto. Dark chakra oozed from his body at alarming levels, the foul energy being released from his body spread in all directions. The slaughter stopped as the vicious attackers watched in horror as their powerful serpent-like symbol in the sky was swallowed whole by a dark demonic skull. The ground shook violently as something landed right in the center of the village, sending dust and debris sailing everywhere. The attackers had lost all interest in the civilians, and had quickly surrounded the person standing in the midst of this dust. They all took a step back, when they saw his eyes. Pure, red demonic eyes. Who is this guy? Asked one of the skull-masked men. Reinforcements, suggested another. Aim's ninjas are weak as fuck. Let's show these weaklings the true power of our lord, howled a young gray-haired man. He brought forward his monstrous scythe and pointed it at the boy. His comrades also brought forward their long scythes stained with blood and grinned menacingly. So you believe in Kami? Asked the boy, his voice barely a whisper. Hell, yeah. Tell you what, brat, just die and be honored for becoming Jashin-sama's sacrifice, screeched the young gray-haired man again, his comrades howling in agreement. They all took a step back when the red-eyed boy gave them a maniacal smile. Then let me show you the power of Kami. Before any of them could retort back at the brat, dark tendrils of chakra shot forward, wrapping their entire group in its spines. Instead of being scared, all the men stared at the boy incredulously and laughed. We can't be killed by humans, yelled one of them proudly. We're immortal. I wouldn't be so sure about that, warned the boy. The tendrils danced wildly in the air, much to the surprise of the cowering civilians as they watched their attackers being slammed repeatedly against each other. Their painful screams brought some relief to the grief-struck people of Han, and they couldn't help but stare at this boy with newfound devotion and awe. The masked men who were butchering others, were being butchered themselves, which made the boy smile darkly. Kill or be killed, that's the law of this world, said the boy. He stared at the civilians who were looking back at him devotedly, which only made him scowl. It's better to hurt others before they hurt you. Don't forget that, advised Naruto harshly, receiving fearful nods in return. He saw the group of men trying to slice apart the dark tendrils holding them captive with their scythes, but their weapons simply passed through the chakra without granting them their freedom. The sight only made the young boy scowl. I'm not the one who's wrong, what's wrong is this fucked up world, cursed Naruto. His chakra flared violently, and he threw the entire group of attackers hundreds of meters away, making them land straight outside the village. He smirked on hearing their painful screams, and rushed towards them. His heart thumped when he saw their terrified gazes as he approached towards them. You bastard. Naruto laughed when a few of them charged towards him, eyes blazing with pure anger and murder blazing through their hearts. If only the fools knew. He simply pointed his finger towards them, and the very next second all of them stopped abruptly. Their comrades couldn't help but be more horrified, when their attacking comrades fell to their knees and started screaming painfully. Naruto saw the foul-mouthed gray-haired young man staring at him with fear flashing through his eyes. I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Before the man could save himself, dark chakra tendrils erupted from the ground beneath him, impaling him all over the body. One of the tendrils hovered around him menacingly before piercing one of his eyes, making him scream, while the boy laughed. What's your name? Asked Naruto curiously. Hidden. Before I squish all of you like the vermin you are, tell me who sent you here, asked Naruto sternly, his demonic red eyes making the group of men flinch. We are followers of Jashin-sama. We follow nobody but our God. Kill in his name, said Hidden painfully, as the boy made the tendrils impaling his body churn mercilessly. Naruto sighed. Foolish humans. Still, he couldn't help but be intrigued by the power of these men. All of them were sporting several fatal injuries all across their bodies, wounds that should have killed them long ago. Just the amount of blood they had lost should have been enough to take their lives, but they were still alive. He looked Hidden right in the eye and invaded the man's mind. Hidden howled in agony as the boy mercilessly tore through his mind, learning everything there was to know about him, their cult, their religion, their powers and their god. Hidden couldn't help but be horrified by the power of this boy. He was a true monster, a true god. After a few minutes, Naruto broke the mental link with a strange look in his eyes. He saw the men carrying before him, and couldn't help but acknowledge that they were immortal to a certain extent. They could be killed, his dark chakra could destroy their bodies from the inside. But he couldn't help but feel a connection to the power they possessed. It was dark, twisted and violent just like his own power. While these Jansenists were nothing more than barbarians, their powers were not something he could simply toss aside in these times. Please, spare us, we won't attack anymore, pleaded Hidden, and the request was repeated by several of his carrying comrades. And why would I do that? Asked Naruto with a smirk. Hidden felt a cold chill run down his spine as he saw the ruthless gaze of the boy. He was really going to kill all of them, brutally. His eyes met the terrified gazes of his own comrades. They had seen it all. This was it, but Hidden couldn't help but feel something else. This boy was more powerful than his entire group, defeated them like little bugs despite the powers granted to them by Jashin-sama. Could he be Jashin? The demonic eyes, the bloodlust, the cruelty, the twisted laugh. Yes, he could be Jashin. He couldn't believe it. Their lord was standing before them and none of them hadn't even realized it. Oi, assholes. Naruto curiously watched as Hidden glanced at him for a moment before turning to face the terrified gazes of his cult. Naruto saw the look in Hidden's eyes before he started talking in the ancient language of their cult. Unknown to these men, Naruto had already learned the basics and could understand what Hidden was trying to say. Still, he was annoyed by the man's deceptive nature. He clenched his fists as the dark chakra tendrils around Hidden's body sliced off the man's arms completely. Hidden screamed, "You basta!" Hidden stopped himself from cursing the boy, and just in time as the young boy gave him an ice-cold glare. "You say something?" asked Naruto cruelly. Hidden bitterly shook his head. "I don't like people who avoid me in any way. You understand me?" asked Naruto threateningly, making Hidden whimper. "Yes, my lord." The Jansenists gasped in shock on seeing one of their own utter such blasphemy. Their furious looks landed on their comrade who looked right back at them. "He's a god, you fools. Can't you feel his power? It's just like Jashin-sama. Have you forgotten our scriptures?" yelled Hidden irritatedly. Naruto merely raised an eyebrow, intrigued by the event happening in front of him. He couldn't help but feel immense satisfaction for the havoc he was causing, and as the cult members looked in the boy's eyes, they saw the same madness, the same bloodlust, the anger only 1,000 times more. Their eyes widened as Hidden's words sinked in. The dark chakra. Their own powers were a result of the dark arts taught to their cult by the great Jashin. And here was this boy, a complete master of the dark arts who had squished all of them like little bugs. They felt his aura, his power, it was unending. "Ready to die?" asked Naruto finally, snapping the entire cult out of their shock. "What? No. Don't kill us," said Hidden in a panicked voice. "Why?" asked Naruto in a bored voice. We will fight for you, die for you, do anything for you," said Hidden desperately, and Naruto saw the same reason prevailing in the eyes of the remaining cult members. "Why?" he asked again, and this time he couldn't help but be disgusted by the fanatic look in Hidden's eyes. "Because you're Jashin-sama reincarnated in the flesh. I never thought I would see this day, to witness your dark powers. Let us serve you, my lord," begged Hidden. Naruto raised his hand, making the entire cult hold their breath in fear. He had to use every ounce of his willpower for not slaughtering these vermins right here. They were monsters in human forms. He had seen the crimes they had committed, he had felt their evil desires, they were no longer human. But at the same time, he could see their usefulness. They were nothing more than cannon fodder to him, mere pawns but useful regardless. The cult members felt their masks break instantly as all of them were forced on their knees. They felt a strange euphoria as the dark tendrils vanished and the twisted energy engulfed their bodies. The power they felt was ecstatic. Naruto stepped forward and was not surprised when all of them bowed their heads to the ground. He performed several sets of complicated hand seals before pointing his hands towards the group of people. All of them hissed in pain when a small portion of the dark energy submerged inside their bodies. A large skull-face tattoo emerged on their right arm, its eyes glowing demonically red for a moment before dying down. When they stared at Naruto, he saw the result of the little ritual he had performed. At least one eye of every cult member was now dark red, just like Naruto's. Hidden was in the process of regenerating his lost eye, and to his surprise the lost organ was replaced almost instantly. He stared at his lord in awe and bowed deeply before. Master, thank you for giving us your power, said Hidden madly, the others following him example. Naruto kept his expressions blank as he stared at these men. He had shared a part of his chakra with them, making their weak bodies a little stronger. It didn't increase their combat skills but made them a little strong enough to survive longer. But the most important thing was that each of them was now fanatically loyal to him. His will was their will. He had made sure of this fact by making himself appear as the avatar of Jashin in the minds of these crazy fighters. Rise, commanded Naruto. He felt immense satisfaction when his new pawns obeyed his command without hesitation. Each of them would still pay for their crimes, but after serving their usefulness to his cause. At least this way, these wretched humans would be using their twisted powers for a good cause. From today, you shall follow me. Together we shall strike this twisted world, declared Naruto. Yes, master, replied all of them gleefully. Obey me and I promise to reward you great battles and bloodshed. Fight for me, kill for me, do anything I say and you shall realize the reason for your existence, proclaimed Naruto. We will do all you ask, master. Said Hidden fanatically. He had seen it with his own eyes. This boy was an avatar of Jashin and the vision he had shown them was enough to make all the cultists dance with joy. Oh, the havoc they would be causing. He was brought out of his crazy thoughts when Naruto gave all of them a dark glare. Loyalty will be rewarded. Treachery will only bring you a torturous death. Promised Naruto, and raised his hand. All the men fell on their knees screaming in pain as the skull mark on their arms burned their skin, their bodies. Hidden stared at his master, realizing their leader had marked them all with his seal. It was a funjutsu none of them had ever seen before and only went to show how powerful their leader was. This mark is my connection to each of you. I'll issue my orders to all of you through them, instructed Naruto. Yes, master. We understand. Replied Hidden gratefully, as their leader stopped the agonizing pain coursing through their bodies due to the mark. Naruto stared hard at each of them, looking right into their souls through their eyes. Only when he was sure of their unwavering loyalty, did he step back and spoke in a loud voice. Let our holy crusade begin, commanded Naruto. He couldn't help but smirk when his new followers howled eagerly. The feeling of loss vanished from his heart as he now had more resources to accomplish his vision. Starting from now, divide yourself in groups of 10, instructed Naruto. The men obeyed without question and divided themselves into 4 columns of 10 men each. Naruto walked amongst them, inspecting all of them. Tell me your names. The men were overjoyed when their master asked for their names. Their eager smiles only made Naruto smile at their foolishness. Goro. Haru. Isamu. Jun. Ken. Ko. Fumio. Keiji. It took a few minutes, but he patiently listened as the men revealed their names to him. He did his best to hide his disinterest, as he finished the mundane activity. These people were nothing but pawns to him, yet it was important for him to know them if he wanted to use them. Good. Jun, lead Team 1. Your mission is to set up bases for our army. Find remote places for this task. I give you 3 months. Isamu, lead Team 2. Your mission is to gather armor, weapons and arsenal for my followers. I don't care how you get them, you have 2 months. Ko, lead Team 3. Your mission is to get me the money for our crusade. You will regularly report back to me with the progress you've made. And Hidden, lead Team 4. Your mission is to gather information over the 5 great villages. You are free to kill any of their shinobi who get in your way and collect their bounties. Send them to Ko afterwards. Understood? Asked Naruto seriously. Yes, master. I'll make many sacrifices in your glory, promised Hidden, as a chuckle escaped from his lips. Naruto maintained his cold, disinterested gaze at all of them. Failure will not be tolerated. Except for Hidden and his team, the rest of you are to carry out your missions without attracting any attention. If I find that you have disobeyed me in any manner, then I'll make your fate worse than death, promised Naruto, making all of them shiver a little in fear. Yes, master. Replied all of them in unison. He waved his hand in a dismissing manner. Go and carry out my will across this world. Naruto couldn't help the sinister smile from appearing on his lips as his fanatical pawns dispersed quickly to carry out his orders. First Kisame, now these men. Slowly but surely he was moving forward to bring forth the revolution of his dreams. Despite his dark powers being the curse of his life, he couldn't help but feel that one day they would be the reason for a change in this world. He would be patient, and make his moves slowly. He would destroy his chosen enemies in a carefully laid trap like a serpent and strike them in a flash. With those thoughts in mind, he started his journey back towards the village of Han. There could still be civilians trapped beneath debris. Children may be injured and he couldn't leave them in such a state. He would help them a little long enough for them to survive so that the AIM ninja didn't arrive to a village half full of bodies. And then he would leave. Alas, his wish was not to be fulfilled as he stopped dead in his tracks. His demonic red eyes reverted back to their natural blue orbs. His dark chakra vanished as he came to a halt. His eyes widened in shock. For standing at the entrance of the village were none other than Nagato and Akino, along with Conan. Naruto blinked. His shocked expression was easily visible to his best friends and Conan as they all stared at him with varied expressions in their eyes. Conan looked annoyed to say the least, Nagato was disappointed, and Akino was. He only had a few precious seconds to bring forward his tanto as Akino pounced on him. Her eyes screaming bloody murder. "You bastard," yelled Akino, making her own tanto clash with the surprised boy. Naruto saw sparks fly as their weapons made contact. What shocked him more was that Nagato made not a single move to stop their enraged female friend, while Conan was watching the duo with a bemused smile on her face. The bitch was enjoying his misery. He effectively blocked Akino's non-lethal strikes as the Uzumaki girl yelled a wide variety of obscenities at him. Granted that he did deserve all of them for leaving without even saying goodbye, and silently accepted her anger because this time he had crossed a line. Besides, his Uzukage had warned him not to provoke the females of his clan when they were extremely furious. His momentary distraction costed him as she disarmed him with a quick strike, his tanto sliding out of his grip and rolling away from him. He saw her flinch as her tanto was now poking his chest, having already teared through his shirt. She instantly dropped the weapon, saving his skin from being sliced apart from the sharp tanto. Still, the unending anger in her eyes made him flinch and lower his gaze. He had nothing to say. He prepared himself for the inevitable punch or slap that would hit him any second. He simply remained still, ready to face the punishment for causing her pain. "You reckless idiot." That was all he heard before someone fiercely hugged him, their soft arms wrapping themselves around his back and bringing him closer to their own soft body. His eyes snapped open when he smelled her scent, and realized she was hugging him. If that was not enough, the sound of her soft sobs broke his heart. She was crying, for someone like him. Why? He looked at Nagato and saw his friend exhale a sigh while shaking his head tiredly, and Conan was smiling at him. Not a mocking smile, but a genuine one. The sight of that smile combined with Akino's sobs, and Nagato's smirk made him tear up. He had missed them so much. If only for a few moments, he wanted time to stop. To be free from his burdens, to be free from his grand dream, to be free his pain and just live alongside his friends. Akino smiled tearfully when Naruto wrapped his own arms around her waist, pulling her even more closer. She felt him bury his face in the side of her neck, her long silver hair brushing against his own wet tears. She couldn't help but be shocked. He was crying. She had only expected to see his cold gaze, his strong orders to leave him alone, but never had she imagined him becoming so emotional on seeing her and Nagato. It was then Nagato's words came back to her. "He cares about you, Akino. More than you could ever imagine." A small smile came on her lips as her tears stopped. She was still extremely mad at him, but felt contented in holding him in her arms. It had just been 2 days since their separation, but for her it was as if years had passed. Just that attached she was to him and Nagato. Her happy moment didn't last when a light cough broke the silence. From the corner of her eye, she saw Conan giving them a curious gaze, making Akino grit her teeth as she felt Naruto slowly break the hug, ending the warm sensation between them. She saw Naruto's guarded expression return as he cautiously observed the aim kunoichi. "If you two are done snogging each other, there are much more important tasks to finish," said Conan bemusedly. Her tone, while being sarcastic, was not insulting, but it still made Akino give her a murderous glare which the aim girl blatantly ignored. Naruto awkwardly stared at Nagato for some help, but found his friend looking the other way, quietly whistling to himself. "Bastard." Gathering his thoughts, he looked back at Conan with a serious gaze which made the girl drop her smile and adopt a similar look of her own. "How did you find me?" asked Naruto neutrally. "We were following your trail, although it was not as easy task I had imagined in the beginning. We received a distress call forwarded to us from headquarters indicating an imminent attack on this village. Finding you here was a surprise," admitted Conan frankly, and smirked when Naruto cursed silently. Damn my saving people thing, muttered Naruto silently, making Akino smile. The very next moment Naruto was grabbed firmly by his shoulders and came face to face with a furious Akino who started shaking him like a ragdoll, shouting at him continuously. Despite this, Naruto couldn't help but smile. Akino would be Akino no matter what, that was what He abruptly stopped himself. The bizarre thought that had passed his mind momentarily was enough to startle him. He looked at the beautiful girl shouting at him in the same concerned voice he had known for years. And for the first time he noticed something different. The way her cheeks flushed red as she vented at him, the way that annoying strand of silver hair fell over her face urging him to put it back, the way her soft lips. Stop, stop. This is Akino. Just stop, he berated himself internally. Even as he tried to stop these frustrating chain of thoughts, he couldn't deny the fact that he had missed her dearly. Even if they had just been apart for 2 days, he had missed Nagato as well, but not in the way he had missed her. He had longed for her smile, for her sarcastic remarks, for her admirable ability of listening to almost anything he had to say, and so much more. His hands betrayed him as they slowly started lifting up with the desire to touch her cheek in order to feel she was real and not an illusion. But they stopped midway as his actions with the cult and his plans came flooding back to him. Nagato had been watching his male best friend keenly, and couldn't help but sigh when Naruto's hands dropped back. Akino was so busy yelling at him that the girl completely missed the bizarre reaction from Naruto. It was almost. Darkness and light can't coexist together, Akino. One day you'll realize it too. Thought Naruto with a resigned sigh. His internal battle with himself must have lasted longer than he had thought, as Akino had now stopped shouting and was now panting harshly in order to regain her breath. Did you even listen to a single thing I said? Asked Akino pointedly, her sharp gaze boring into his soul. Yes, he lied easily. What do you have to say in return? Asked Akino, ignoring his blatant lie. Nothing. Akino's nostrils flared at his careless answer, but before she could get back at him he simply brushed past her and went straight towards Konan. She remained standing in her spot, her eyes fixed on him as he offered Konan his hand, which the girl promptly shook. Uzumaki Naruto, I believe introductions were left unattended in our last encounter, said Naruto calmly, earning a nod from her. Konan, and likewise. It's quite interesting to meet someone with your talents, replied Konan coolly. She hadn't missed the boy's deliberate dismissal of his concerned female best friend. Granted, Akino could have been a little calmer, but Konan was not very impressed with Naruto's actions towards his own friend. The fact that he did it deliberately got on her nerves. I'd like you to take my friends back to the capital, said Naruto directly. First tell me what happened to the bandits, asked Konan pointedly. Oh, is that how it is? Well, then better for me. Thought Naruto bemusedly, happy to agree with her belief of the attackers being mere bandits rather than a cult of immortal fighters. I chased them off, replied Naruto flatly. You didn't kill them, asked Konan suspiciously. She may not have known him for long, but she doubted he was the type of ninja who took prisoners. And judging from the shocked look on his friends' faces proved her doubts. This boy never took prisoners, and yet he had simply chased off the attackers instead of killing them. I don't want to stain my hands with trash, said Naruto distastefully. To end this discussion, he gave Konan and his own friends challenging stares, daring them to oppose his testimony. And couldn't help but smirk when his friends relented and gave a small nod to Konan, making the girl sigh. Although, just one look in the AIM girl's eyes was enough to show she didn't believe him or his friends. I get the feeling you're not the type of person who'll follow an unknown boy for 2 days without a strong reason, suggested Naruto cryptically, earning another smirk from the girl. I don't know, maybe I was bored, shrugged Konan, making Nagato chuckle, which directly earned him a dark glare from Naruto. Get to the point, Konan hissed Naruto. She paused. His voice was cold and fully conveyed his irritated feelings towards her. Yet it was also the first time she had heard him say her name, and it felt strange to say the least. She had a few guesses as to what this boy could be up to. Unlike his friends, she didn't believe he chased off the bandits. But for the moment, there were more important matters at hand, and he did save her people, so she could let it go just this once. Steeling herself and gathering every ounce of confidence and willpower in her heart, she looked the redhead boy straight in the eye. I have a proposal for you, Uzumaki Naruto. There was a curt knock at the door. With a heavy sigh, Kushina Uzumaki marched towards the entrance of her apartment. But when she opened the door, she was rooted to her spot. For there standing in front of her was the former love of her life, the father of her son, and the man who was once the center of her universe. It still startled her heart on seeing Minato look at her with the same compassionate and loving gaze today, even after everything that had happened between them. "Can I come in?" asked Minato politely. Her initial shock wore off, and her gaze turned cold as she icily glared back at him. Minato was stunned as he realized from where his son gained the stone-cold gaze. "No." He concealed the hurt and disappointment he felt on hearing her bitter answer. Every day it broke his heart to see her like this, to see her get further and further away from him. No matter what he did, no matter how much he tried. She saw him swallow heavily, as he rummaged through his pockets searching for something. After a few moments, he let out a small envelope and presented it to her. "I don't want it," said Kushina flatly. "Kushina, how many times do I have to tell you, it's over? You can stop pretending," snarled Kushina, and this time she didn't miss his heartbroken gaze which made her stop. Damn his blue eyes. "I know you can never forgive me. But before I leave I wanted to give you this," said Minato hesitantly. "Leave?" asked Kushina, a frown marring her beautiful face as a wistful smile arrived on his face. "For war. She froze. The anger and bitterness vanished and was replaced by a sudden fear and anxiety. She searched his eyes for any signs of deception but only found the truth. He was truly going to war. Obito is going as well. If Minato's departure was not enough, the last information crushed her. It was not right. Obi was so young and he didn't deserve the horrors of war. Nobody deserved that, not even Minato. She wanted to argue, but knew that almost every able ninja was being sent to war. Since she was the Jinchuriki, she had to remain behind for the protection of the village and only in dire circumstances would she be sent to the battlefield. It was infuriating, to watch all her loved ones take all these risks while she— "I know I haven't always lived up to your expectations, Kushina. But I've always wished the best for you, I still do. That's why I want you to take this, so that at least when I die." Kushina felt her heart constrict tightly in her chest on hearing those dreadful words, yet he simply smiled. "I'll know that I at least kept our promise. She shut her eyes, unable to stop the tears from emerging in her eyes. The lump in her throat was so heavy, her heart had almost stopped as she remembered everything. "I'll always love you, Kushina. Shoxi immediately opened her tearful eyes, unable to believe what he had just said. But all that was left was the soft breeze marking his departure, along with the lone tear that had fallen from Minato's own eye. Heartbroken, she shifted her gaze towards the envelope he had given her. She slowly opened the envelope and let out the contents, and it made her heart stop. Right in front of her were nearly a dozen photographs of her dear son. Kushina's trembling fingers brushed through the image of that small child, her child. To see even this artificial image of him gave her peace, it gave her a part of her son. Looking through all of them she realized they were of Naruto at different ages, and with a few people his age. Possibly his classmates or teammates. It made her heart swell. That idiot. She couldn't believe it. The only way for Minato to even have such photographs of their little son would be if he watched their boy from afar, if only for a few minutes. It was impossible for her to leave Konoha without sending the entire village in a dire frenzy. The Hokage had placed a seal on her that constantly showed the old man about her whereabouts. And even in Yuzu, there were detection seals that would have detected Minato's presence. Yet the blonde-haired father had risked everything just to see their son, to see that he was safe. To watch him grow if only for a few possible moments, before being forced to walk away. She felt her anger rise at him for keeping this secret for her. But deep down, she knew if he had revealed that he was secretly visiting Yuzu if only for a few minutes, then she would have demanded he let her accompany him. And that would have destroyed everything. And yet now, he had given her all these precious memories about their son. She felt a small wistful smile appear on her lips. Maybe the boy whom she had once loved still loved somewhere deep inside. It relieved her to see Minato's dedication and love for his son, and his own unending love towards her even till this day and after everything that had happened in their lives. "Minato Namikaze, you crazy bastard," thought Kushina emotionally, clenching her fist close to her heart while holding the photographs tightly in her other hand. But now if he had given this to her, risked showing his violation of the treaty between Yuzu and Konoha, it could only mean Minato didn't think he was coming back alive. And for the first time in years Kushina couldn't imagine her life without Minato. She ran. Conan stared hard at the boy sitting in front of her. After they had made sure that the villagers of Han were safe, and healed those who were injured, she had decided to explain her proposal, and Naruto had been patient enough to agree with her request. She had to admit Akino was quite a talented medic and had demonstrated her skills by quickly healing even the gravest wounds. While Nagato was slowly setting up protection seals around the village and helping the rescue teams search the area for any further enemy forces. With him at the front, it was confirmed that Han would not be so easily attacked next time. Hanzo had been right. These Uzumaki, while being a wild bunch, were sure talented enough, and she could easily see how well their addition would be in a growing nation like AIM. So now here she stood in a small house of one of Han's residents with possibly the strongest Uzumaki she had ever seen. She was intrigued on seeing his twinkling eyes staring back at her with mild amusement. Naruto Uzumaki was an asshole, there was no doubt about it in her mind. But there was also another side to the boy, one which he rarely showed to a selected few. Well, talk, commanded Naruto, finally losing his patience, making her smirk. You have interesting powers, lethal but useful. We could use a ninja of your talents, proposed Conan, making the boy frown as he stared back at her. I already said it clearly, I won't swear loyalty to any nation or leader. I am Yuzu's soldier, and will remain so till my last breath, said Naruto defiantly. Galatea was right. His pride is what sets him apart from others, but it is also his weakness, thought Conan secretly. Then let me rephrase it. We don't want you to become an AIM shinobi, nor swear loyalty to Hanzo or our nation. But you are loyal to your clan, and with the world war at our doorstep, AIM is just not prepared enough to face the dangers. That is why we need your services. Explained Conan neutrally, and was relieved when his frown disappeared and he raised an eyebrow in curiosity. A mercenary? What makes you think I'm a thug for hire? Mocked Naruto, an amused smile arriving on his face. Even the bastard's eyes twinkled a little as he stared back at her. Conan took a deep breath. He was a difficult person to deal with, but she would not fail. No matter what. Not as a mercenary, but as a protector of the Uzumaki clan. You have seen our shinobi and their skill level. Despite the talents of your friends, AIM does not have the numbers or skills to oppose any of the Great Five from attacking our lands or using AIM as their battlefield. If that happens, neither my people or your friends and the Uzumaki children can live peacefully, so I want you to be, a guardian, Conan knew right there she had struck his heart. She could see it. His previous mocking smile disappeared, his bemused gaze turned to one that was extremely gentle and full of affection as he thought about his people. Conan couldn't help but smile. No matter how much of an asshole he was, she couldn't deny the fact that perhaps there was no one else in this world who cared more about the Uzumaki than this boy. His loyalty and faith in his own beliefs made him admirable for her. His skills were just another added bonus. We don't need your loyalty, or for you to become our ninja. You are free to go wherever you like and do whatever you want as long as it doesn't harm AIM or its people, but I'm sure you won't do any such thing now that the Uzumaki are our people are as well, said Conan softly. He looked at her with mild surprise as she called the Uzumaki her own people. She herself was no more surprised than him, and it showed in her eyes. She was quite stunned when he relaxed in his chair and gave her a patient smile, which made her heart churn with an emotion she couldn't identify. What do you want exactly? Asked Naruto silently. He's not an unreasonable person, it seems. Just a little stubborn, thought Conan happily. Hanzo-sama is forming a special group of ninjas. These men and women will play a vital role in protecting AIM from all external strikes from any ninja village, even the Great Five. It's an elite group that will work in small teams. Akino and Nagato have already agreed to be a part of it, explained Conan enthusiastically, and saw him nodding approvingly of his friend's choices. Are you a member as well? Asked Naruto. Yes, she replied proudly. He remained silent for the next few minutes, making her a little nervous and anxious. She had placed her cards in front of him, but it was quite difficult to predict Naruto Uzumaki. So you want my services till this war ends? Asked Naruto after a pause. Yes, we'll notify you when there is a mission. Until then, you are free to stay with us or do your own tasks. You will be a member of the Uzumaki clan and not an AIM shinobi. We will also provide you a handsome compensation for your services, along with a house to stay in AIM and cover all your expenses until you are a part of this group, offered Conan enthusiastically. She took a breath to regain her composure. Her excitement for this new group of ninjas made her explain the details quickly and proudly. While it was good, she needed to be patient and precise to explain the main part. And we can help you learn how to control your dark power. What? Hissed Naruto, making her flinch on seeing the ferocity return in those eyes. It seemed he was as cautious about his powers as those around him. Galatea, my teacher has a unique set of skills that allows her to manipulate another person's chakra. I also have that talent. That was why you weren't able to hit me so easily with your dark attacks. You didn't miss your target, rather I made your attacks miss me, said Conan frankly. I don't believe you, said Naruto flatly, it was simply impossible. While there were many kind of shinobi with unique Kekkai Genkai, he had hardly come across or even heard of any ninja having the power to control or even manipulate another ninja's chakra. Conan was looking at him challengingly, so he instantly charged a small amount of his dark power. A small dark-colored ball made up of dark chakra formed in his hand. It was energy manipulation at its finest due to his nearly perfect chakra control. Without hesitation, he threw it straight at the now smirking girl. He nearly panicked when Conan remained seated in her chair and allowed the attack to reach merely 2 inches away from her face. Then suddenly the dark ball of chakra simply passed from her side without even touching her at all. Before Naruto could relax, she sent the attack right back at him, making his eyes go wide. He brought his hand forward to defend himself, but she simply stopped the ball of chakra and Naruto quickly reconsumed that energy. Proof enough? Asked Conan with a smirk. He just stared at her dumbly. Now he understood how she was able to match him, how she was able to control those thousands of paper attacks, and even fly with her paper wings. Till this date, only the Tsuchikage, who was a great warrior, had mastered the ability to fly. And here was this girl able to complete the same feat at such a young age. You're talented, said Naruto respectfully, as she playfully rolled her eyes at him. Thank you, Captain Obvious, said Conan cheerfully, and somehow it made him smile a little. Look, I understand that you have your own plans and are a proud Uzumaki. But we need your help, and we won't stop you from pursuing your dreams and even help you as far as possible. Hanzo-sama respects you, and if you agree to this proposal, then you can visit your friends, your clan, even stay with them whenever you want, said Conan genuinely, as he raised an eyebrow. Or I can just sneak in and meet them, challenged Naruto. Yeah, and get them in legal trouble for allowing a non-citizen ninja to roam around our lands knowingly? Asked Conan, making him lose his smile instantly. I see. What shall it be, Naruto? He became silent. The offer was quite fair, to say the least. He knew despite Conan's carefully chosen words he would be indirectly protecting AIM from other villages, but as long as it led to the protection of his friends he wouldn't mind. And he was the one who had ignited war between Konoha and Suna, and couldn't bear to live if those two great villages chose AIM as their battlefield or attacked this small nation for no good reason. He also needed time to set up the Akatsuki. It was his own personal group which he would use to bring forth a revolution in this world. But it would take time, and he simply had nowhere else to go. He would rather die than spend any more time with the cult members than necessary. Their foul souls made him want to kill them, but he would use them first before ending their miserable existence. Plus, he could help Nagato and ward off AIM from the rest of the world with their knowledge and sealing in barriers. And most of all, he would be able to spend just a little more time with his friends. With Akino, with Nagato, with the Uzumaki children. He didn't know why, but that thought brought peace to his troubled heart. The fact that he was free to sneak out of AIM for his other missions was a much-needed bonus. Plus, he could use AIM as his secret hideout without putting his friends in trouble, not to mention the resources he would receive along with Hanzo's trust. His gaze shifted towards Conan, who was smiling at him. The girl was strange and intrigued him. The fact that she could match his powers to a certain degree was threatening and peaceful at the same time. His worst fear was of losing control of his dark powers and doing something he would regret later, but if she could help him control it. It was nearly impossible and he didn't have much hope, but if somehow he gained control over his powers with Conan and Galatea's help. And when the storm of war passed, when he was sure his friends were safe, when AIM was completely protected, he could leave in peace. Conan couldn't help but stare tentatively when he took a deep breath and closed his eyes, and a smile broke across her beautiful face when he nodded in acceptance while asking something. What is this group called? Asked Naruto curiously, and the grin on the girl's face was so infectious that it made him relax a little. Domino Squad. A lazy yawn escaped from a young boy's mouth as he heard the soft yet consistent knocks on his doorstep. As he crept out of his bed, he felt the first wave of cold air hit his almost naked body. The very first thing that came to his mind was the fact that he hated AIM, hated the weather, and most of all hated the never-ending rains. He had thought about it a lot. And as hard as it was to admit, he couldn't deny the fact that even an oppressive power like Fire Nation and even his dear Yuzu had 1,000 times better a climate than the poverty-stricken Omegakure. It was harsh, but to be honest he felt no loyalty towards this nation or its people. He was doing this job to protect his friends and clan, while accomplishing a few secret agendas of his own. After that he was done. And Kami helped him if he had to stay here for more than a few weeks. It was with such thoughts that a grumpy Naruto Uzumaki roughly opened the door of his room. It was just going to be another one of the annoying servants Hanzo had provided. And if the old man didn't think that Naruto knew exactly what game he was playing, then the leader of AIM was in for quite a surprise. Regardless, the tables turned when instead of finding another nameless servant he found Conan at his door. The Angel, a ridiculous name to call someone. Conan arched one of her eyebrows as she stared at him. Naruto looked down and found that he was dressed in just his boxers, not that he cared much. Like what you see? Asked Naruto casually. She simply shrugged her shoulders. I've seen better. She had to fight hard to hide her smirk on seeing his eyebrows twitch, if only a little. It had been 2 days since they brought Naruto back to the capital, and ever since the boy had asked to be left alone for a while. A request which Hanzo had agreed to until now. I have been asked to give you a tour of the capital, said Conan frankly, and was not surprised when he sighed. I'll pass. Replied Naruto defiantly. This girl was interesting but quite dangerous. And he had already seen proof enough of that, not to mention he felt quite uneasy when she looked at him. It was as if she could see clean through his lies sometimes, and that freaked him out. And the most dangerous thing about her was that unlike Akino, Conan simply didn't fucking care. She didn't push and simply let himself be, that was as long as he didn't get in her way or did something that was a threat to her nation. Proof of this habit were her next words. Suit yourself. I'll inform Hanzo that you are not feeling well, like the last 2 days, she said, not a single annoyed or angry emotion visible in her stoic gaze. Without another word or suggestion, Conan turned and started walking away. Where are my friends? Asked Naruto curiously, making her stop, but she didn't turn back around to face him. Akino is helping the older children of your clan find new accommodations. She's also very busy scanning through the list of decent families who have applied to adopt many of your younger clan children. Hanzo-sama has given her full authority to decide whether any of the families are suitable for this task or not, explained Conan, and from the corner of her eyes she clearly saw him frown. I don't trust your people, even the civilians. Not yet, he admitted, earning a nod from her. Understandable, but the young children need a home and a stable environment to grow, which only a family can provide. It is either that or the orphanage, and trust me, you don't want that option. Said Conan bluntly, and he didn't miss the bitterness in her voice. There was a silence in the long corridor as for that brief second his eyes connected with her own. And he knew. You were an orphan, weren't you? Asked Naruto silently, his voice neither carried pity or kindness. Being in a similar situation like her throughout his life had made him learn that he hated people who pitted him for how his life turned out. Life was shitty, there was no other way around. You either accept it and try to make it better, or keep on crying trying to garner people's pity. Looking into her eyes made him understand just a little as to who Conan was among the two options. Yes, said Conan flatly. You rose pretty high. Must have been quite a journey, he said honestly, and he saw a small smile grace her lips. It made her look quite beautiful. I could say the same about you, she replied, looking him in the eye. A small breath escaped from his lips, a wry thought passed through his mind and he looked back at her to find her waiting. How about having some coffee? Asked Naruto, making her look at him curiously. Coffee? So early in the morning, said Conan amusedly, but he merely shrugged as a small grin arrived on his lips. Maybe I'll be a little less grumpy after having some coffee in my veins, replied Naruto causally. She snorted. Fine, but I warn you it won't come cheap, said Conan directly. Whatever you say. After all you're buying. With a mischievous wink, he slammed the door shut. Conan remained rooted in her spot, quite a surprised expression clearly visible on her face on seeing his bluntness. The boy had guts, she had to give him that. But a complete asshole at the same time. Even so, she couldn't help but allow a small chuckle to escape her lips. Naruto casually walked through the streets of Aim's capital, his trained eyes taking in everything around him. Right from the perfect drainage lines on the sidewalks that effectively carried all the constant rainfall, otherwise the people would forever be drowned in floods. The gigantic towers around him in which people used to live, they were the tallest in the world. A proof of Aim's rising industrialization and technology. The other great nations had resources but not the technology. If he could only place Aim at the top within a few years and his clansmen in charge of this nation. He wouldn't need to recreate Yuzu from scratch, since he would help his clan in taking over AIM. It would not be easy with Hanzo and the samurai at the helm, or with ninjas like Conan and Galatea guarding this small nation. But if he could somehow show Nagato as a leader to the people of AIM, then the military won't have any choice but to nominate his friend as the next leader. Nagato was powerful and only needed the right push, one which Naruto would gladly give. He shivered when a torrent of rainfall washed over him. Looking at his side, he saw Conan smirk at him. She was completely dry, courtesy of her chakra manipulation which she had been using to keep both of them from getting drenched in the unending rainfall. That was until he drifted off into his own world, completely ignoring her for some time. A point she made quite clear by making him soak in the rainfall. Earth calling? Asked Conan amusedly, as he shot her a nasty glare. Since I'm the one buying you coffee and giving you the tour, I expect to be listened to. She said, a hint of authority present in her voice. Is that so? Asked Naruto, a grin arriving on his lips as he flicked his fingers. He quickly leapt out of the way as the idle water on the streets rose from all sides and rained down on a surprised Conan. By the time it was over, Conan was drenched from head to toe. The bystanders had a variety of emotions ranging from amusement, annoyed, to downright angry glares on their faces on seeing their beloved angel being drenched like that. Naruto couldn't help but chuckle out loud as he saw the look on her face. A tense moment followed as she looked at him laughing. And somehow that laugh made her break out a smile, which soon broke into a happy laugh on her own. The civilians and shinobi around relaxed. Some even broke out happy smiles on seeing their angel laugh so happily. The moment only became much more sweet for many of the women, when they saw the redhead boy grab an umbrella and step beside Conan. The rain falling over the girl stopped, and she looked up to see a dark umbrella protecting her from the rains. She looked to her side, to see Naruto holding the umbrella with a slight apologetic smile on his face. Sorry for getting you wet, whispered Naruto, as her cheeks flushed a little on his choice of words. Shameless, replied Conan, without any kind of annoyance in her voice. And did Naruto detect a hint of approval in her voice? I try my best. Now I think we should move. We've given enough a show to the people, suggested Naruto, as she gave him a challenging look. Oh, you scared, whispered Conan, and saw him glance at her curiously. Didn't know you were an exhibitionist, teased Naruto. He tensed when she stepped closer, enough to have her lips be a mere inch away from his. He felt his heart beat a little faster as their combined body heats offered the only protection against the cold weather of AIM. The look in her eyes made the world around him melt away, and he found himself dissolving in those dazzling orbs of her. I am lot of things, Uzumaki Naruto. He must have been in quite a trance, as only when the cold rainfall hit his body again did he realize she had walked ahead, along with his umbrella. Seeing her smile back at him triumphantly made him feel something strange in his chest. Being drenched in the rains didn't affect him a bit as he continued to stare into her eyes. And only when did he catch a glimpse of the large crowd that had gathered to watch them did he manage to break this strange moment between him and Conan. He had to fight hard to hide his blush when he saw so many women glance at him adorably, while a few of the younger men were glaring at him. Shaking his head, he ran after her knowing only one thing. AIM was driving him crazy. Both of them took their seats in a relatively well-known cafe in the capital. Naruto was actually surprised to find an automated machine at the entrance that helped dry the people. They called it dryer or something. Sure, ninjas could get themselves dry easily, but for the civilians living under constant rainfall this device would be like a blessing. He couldn't help but think about some interesting ideas that formed in his mind. If not anything else, AIM had the technology and manpower to bring about a new revolution. But that would come later. For now he had to have some coffee. As he drank from the mug, he discovered one of the new things he liked about AIM. Apart from their growing industrialization and technology. Like it? Asked Conan, a smirk easily seen on her lips. It'll do, replied Naruto neutrally, getting a nod from her as she drank her own hot tea. So, when are we starting this special group you talked about? Asked Naruto seriously. It won't be long before he received new development information from his minions and maybe from Kisame. He had to micromanage 2 factions, and that required proper planning and organizing. By the end of this week. It takes time to scan through the list of potential recruits, gather the resources and establish the command structure, stated Conan flatly. Fair enough. Hopefully, the ninjas would have prior training and mission experiences. Otherwise, our missions would only be more difficult if we are forced to carry young rookies. clarified Naruto, which made her sigh. I understand your point. But AIM only has a limited military force, and the few who are powerful have been assigned various important tasks. We'll try to get the best, but you'll just have to work with who's available, answered Conan, and saw him sigh, but he did give her an acknowledging nod. What kind of training have you gone through so far? Since you are working with us, we'll need to know your skill set and past experience, she added. To her credit, she never flinched as his gaze hardened and he searched her eyes for any sign of treachery or ulterior motives of any kind. The moment lasted for quite some time, and only when he was satisfied did he lean back a little, much to her relief. Espionage, assassinations, infiltration, tracking, interrogation. He answered, no emotion in his voice. You seem too young for many of these tasks. But after seeing what you did during our first battle, making sure your people survived in enemy territory for months, I believe you have been trained from early age. Possibly to be inducted into some special forces program Yuzu must have or was creating, suggested Conan, surprising him a little. She was quite sharp. Yes. I was planned to be recruited in the special forces once my training was over, the rest you know, he answered, some bitterness seeping into his words which made her nod. Your friends say you never take prisoners during a mission? Is that true? Asked Conan curiously. Unless I'm ordered to or the target has incredible value, no. There is no point in spending resources and manpower after someone who would slice your neck the very first chance they get, he admitted frankly. I'll take your word for it. Hopefully, you'll be complacent enough to take prisoners if aim or the mission demands for it, hinted Conan, eyeing him quite seriously. I may not be loyal to this nation, but I respect a contract. And I would not to do anything that may harm my friends and clan. I'm sure you must have considered that before you offered me this deal. Said Naruto slyly. We did, she confessed. There was a long silence between them as each of them sipped their coffee and tea respectively. Possibly going over what they had just revealed to each other. Tell me about yourself, said Naruto, looking at her directly. Nothing special. I was an orphan, my parents were ninjas who died during the previous war. No siblings or family, spent most of my life in the orphanage until Hanzo noticed me and recruited me into his service. Replied Conan, and he didn't miss the hint of pride in her voice. He must have seen something special in you to do such a thing personally. He doesn't seem like the type of man who'll go for anything but the best, suggested Naruto, making her smile. I can see why Hanzo-sama took an interest in you. Uzumaki Naruto, you remind him of himself in his younger days. Smart, powerful, loyal and a ninja with a vision for change. This may not be your nation, we may not be your people, but know this, that Salamander Hanzo sees something special in you. Don't let it go to waste. Advised Conan, as he arched one of his eyebrows in surprise. I'll keep that in mind, even so you seem more than loyal to Hanzo. You care about him like family. Suggested Naruto, as she blinked before a smile broke out on her lips as she thought about the man who changed her life for the better. Yes. Her instincts went to alert mode when she saw him gaze intently into the entrance area of the shop. Someone or something had caught his attention, completely. It seems AIM has started to be infested by rats, whispered Naruto, a dangerous glint in his eyes. Conan's eyes widened as she recognized the term used for an enemy spy. She tried to move towards a better position in order to locate the target, only to feel a firm grip on her hand by Naruto himself. You'll spook her. Let her gather the information she seeks from that over-talkative waitress. I get the feeling this woman is not alone, said Naruto icily. How do you know she's a spy? Asked Conan silently. I can feel her fear, her anxiety, and that gives me the power to catch a glimpse of her mind. I can fully infiltrate her mind, but that will simply alert her remaining comrades who can be nearby. So I'm just brushing the edges of her mind with my dark powers. It seems Iwagakure is almost ready for a new offensive, said Naruto coldly. You're not bluffing about this, are you? Asked Conan hesitantly, and saw the same cold gaze she had seen during their first battle. The look in his eyes sent a shiver down her spine. It was merciless and promised only one thing: pain. From the corner of his eyes, Naruto saw the short, dark-haired woman leave her seat and get out of the shop. His gaze swept over Conan, who was rooted in her spot. You know what to do. It was all he said before disappearing in a cloud of black smoke that easily seeped out of the window near them. Conan only had a moment to steel herself, before she also disappeared in a swirl of paper petals. Conan learned one thing. Uzumaki Naruto was a cunning predator. It had taken her several minutes to follow his trail in pursuit of this potential spy he was sure of. There were times when she nearly lost both their tails, but managed to gain it after a few more minutes of searching. It must have costed her a lot of time, as by the time she reached him, it was all over. Naruto lay standing in one of the dark alleys surrounding a worn-out house. It was one of the poorest districts in the capital, one where the worst kind of people lived. An easy place for spies and murderers to disappear into. But this time, luck ran out for them. A small wave of dark chakra was radiating off his body, protecting him from the rains falling from the sky. In front of him lay three humans who were shivering. A woman whom Conan recognized must have been the spy he was talking about, a middle-aged man and a young boy who was of their age. I must admit, it was quite a sound strategy to send an entire team of spies pretending as another poor family. Iwa is not as dumb as I imagined, said Naruto, a cold smile arriving on his lips. Please, we are just poor people. We don't have anything, pleaded the woman desperately, tears falling from her eyes. Conan felt bad for her, maybe they were mistaken. And how could she take his word that they were spies when there was no proof at all? Just Naruto and his crazy theory. And these were her countrymen, she owed them more loyalty than whatever existed between her and Naruto. They were at best acquaintances, with future of working as teammates. And maybe friends someday. Dark mass of chakra surrounded the middle-aged man and started lifting him high in the air. The woman started screaming. The young boy who must be their son tried to attack Naruto only to be trampled over, and now his head rested beneath Naruto's feet, ready to be crushed at any moment. I can get the truth out of you easily. But that won't serve the purpose. Admit your crime and face Aime's justice. Or deal with me, said Naruto murderously. That's enough, Naruto, barked Conan. She had just taken 2 steps towards him when his glare made her stop. Please, we're innocent. We don't know anything, begged the woman, and bowed her head in front of Naruto. Yet his merciless gaze never wavered. His eyes met with the struggling middle-aged man who was desperately trying to breathe, as Naruto's dark chakra tendrils kept him suspended in the air. The young boy beneath his feet had long since stopped resisting, and was now staring at the scene worriedly. Sometimes you must hurt others to know the truth, fall in order to grow, lose in order to gain, and learn the greatest teachings through pain. Conan stared in horror as he crushed the young boy's skull with his feet, splashing the brains all over the wet ground. The dark tendrils holding the middle-aged man pierced him from various sides, making a shower of blood and guts rain down on the woman. Never in her life had Conan seen something so horrific and barbaric. The woman gave out a blood-curdling scream that must have echoed through half of Amon, watching her husband and son die so brutally. Yet Naruto never flinched, never hesitated, nor was he moved by the atrocity he had committed. Whatever doubts Conan had about his training and as to what he had done, or could do, were removed when the woman started sputtering out the truth. Conan was shocked when the woman actually admitted that she and the older man, as well as the now dead young boy, were all spies from Iwa. They were sent in to get battle plans about the forces Aim had deployed towards Iwa's borders, in possible hopes of creating an invasion and destroying Aim forever. By the time the woman gave the entire truth, she was badly shivering. A clearly terrorized look was seen in her eyes, as she stared into Naruto's gaze. She may still be more useful in providing more information, said Conan quickly, when she saw he was about to end the woman's life as well. Naruto looked Conan straight in the eye. Is that an order? He asked coldly. Conan nodded. He may be more powerful and more dangerous than her, but it didn't change the fact that she was a jounin, while Naruto was just hired by her village. It may have been too late to save the other 2 spies for getting further information, but Hanzo-sama could surely get more information out of this whimpering woman in front of them. Conan saw him give an irritated snarl as he was forced to accept her decision. This was her nation and she had the authority to make decisions, not him. And it clearly frustrated him. It's your lucky day, woman, spat Naruto, and shot Conan a disapproving glare before vanishing from the area in a mass of dark smoke. As soon as he was gone, Conan saw the enemy female spy fall unconscious and end up on the ground full of blood and flesh. She groaned. If this was what meant working with Naruto Uzumaki, then it was confirmed that he would drive her crazy with his antics in a few years, if not months. Still, she couldn't deny the fact that he was a deadly ninja. He was sharp, attentive, and had useful powers that allowed him to adapt to the situations far more quickly than others. She was yet to see his assassination skills, but he had already displayed the remaining of his skills by not only identifying a spy, tracking down an entire ring, and even getting information at a steep cost. Konan now understood why Hanzo was so interested in this boy. For Naruto, Uzumaki was a deadly killing machine, about to be unleashed in a new war. And guys, this is the end. I hope you guys enjoyed. See you next video.